building a living, breathing MMO with generative AI and Web3. So some good catchphrases in there. Good to have Taewon Yu from Super Evil Megacorp back again.
Great to be here, and nice to meet you. I have some problems like building the deck for this conference because I couldn't figure out what would be the level of audiences here. Do I talk to the someone who's actually building a game using AI, or do you guys want to have a some sort of understanding of AI? So let me ask you one question. Is there anyone who's actually building a game, trying to building a game with AI here? All right, okay, good. At least have one person here. So I will make it a little bit lighter then. So before I start, a little myself, I have been building games over the last 30 years, and mainly on the online MMO games. I started as a game designer back in 1993, working on text mod game, and then I moved on to companies like Blizzard, EA. So I had experience with building a Ultima Online, World of Warcraft, Diablo 3, World of Tanks, and so on and so forth. Now I am with Super Evil Megacorp, which is building a multiple cross-platform online games. I'm working there as a chief business officer. And Super Evil, actually, we don't do a Web3 or AI games as of yet. So I am actually part-time helping other startup game developers who is working on AI and Web3 games. The first one I was helping was World Wide Web based in UK. They are building living and breathing MMO powered by AI. And this is really made me excited about looking into further about how to design a game that is powered by AI itself. And then other companies called a Space Nation. They are building AAA Web3 space MMO, and they are based in China. Recently got a they did a Series A investment from China, and then they're about to announce the game in a few months' time. And so the reason why I am interested in AI and Web3 is actually from the experience of building a game, what sort of problems I faced along the way I was building the games. And then some of those are in Ultima Online is a good example of, there is a game that was released in 1997, so it's almost 25 years ago. But one of the promise we wanted to do was actually building a living and breathing world where NPCs in the game actually live their life in the game and also interact with players. But back in the days, we didn't have technology. So what we did to solve the problem was we actually have our own employees act as NPC. And then they either play with players or they invade a town to kill the players so that people react to that. Yeah, it worked a little bit, but doesn't, as you can imagine, it doesn't scale. And then in World of Warcraft, which has become one of the biggest game in the world back in 2004, the problem we had was that players loved the game, but at the same time, they were consuming the content so fast. We worked on expansion for 2 years with 200 plus team members, and then once we release the expansion, people come back to us in a day and say, hey, I played through all the content you guys have, what next? That was really frustrating. And then both, World of Warcraft and Diablo 3, there were a lot of gold farmers, so-called. Essentially what they do is that they come into the game, they're not really playing a game. They grind to collect, in-game gold, and then they trade outside of the game. Some people come to the game and help others to play the game, level up, and they pay for it. Some people sell items outside of the game, and they profit from it. I think that this is fairly familiar to people who's working on Web3, right? And then the solution we tried to do was that like we were working on a real money auction house in Diablo 3. And then it has a fantastic failure. And then like one thing I realized that working on that project myself was that if we were to have an auction house in a game, we actually become a financial institution complying to all the financial regulation across 156 countries we were releasing our game at the time. And then that was, after 3 years of effort, that was close to impossible. And that was why Diablo 3 Auction House was initially released only in US at first. And then the other thing, the failure we had was that we didn't really think about or plan that what's going to happen if you allow people to freely trade their game, like item in game, and then the game design, the item design itself was not actually built for that. So again, really interesting, or like the real life examples of how Web3 people are trying to solve right now. So that's why I got so frustrated again. So I decided like I will not work on MMO ever again, and I will work on PvP games because players are content in PvP and esports. I don't have to create PvE content over and over again, and that's why I like to work on the games like World of Tank, which was the PvP tank game, and Vainglory, which was the MOBA title, quite popular in South Asia and Middle East as well. So I'm quoting myself here. And then Web3 came along. And then I started to think about what Web3 and AI is promising. And I realized that like, this is the problem I faced in the past. And then this could be the like, technology that actually can solve the problem I faced in the past. I was not excited about Web3 because of decentralized feature, because I don't know what that means. I don't know what tokenomics is. I don't care about that either. But I know that the problem I had with my games in WoW as well as Diablo 3, Web3 could make it much simpler. So that is something that I've been thinking a lot about. And then also for AI, when Gen AI was announced, I was actually had like the tech roadmap for our game engine that we want to build a like the living, breathing world using AI, but we were not sure exactly how AI will be able to help that in the next 5 years. So that was why I was, again, so super excited about when Gen AI was becoming more popular and I saw a solution to my problem. So getting back to the like problems I faced in the past, in Ultima Online, now I see and I can actually think about and have came up with an idea on how I can create NPC using Gen AI and then actually have them to live the life in the game. And actually the like history can change over time. So that was so exciting because like getting back to the like 25-year-old problem and solving it in creative ways. Same with World of Warcraft. Instead of like, I think I will still be spending a lot of time to create new content, but Gen AI will allow us to make a lot of variations, so keep things interesting. Also provide players as a personalized experience, so that like they don't come back to me and telling me again, saying, "Hey, I've seen everything in your game," and then I'll be able to tell, "No, you don't," because like there's no end in game. So and then finally, the Web3, I'm seeing it as a solution to solve the like monetization problem we had in free-to-play. So I don't think that I don't look at Web3 as a solution to create a new gameplay. I am taking a look at it as a like tech stack that will be solving our monetization problem. So the plan I have and the ones I'm working on is that like we are still using free-to-play mechanics, but that game mechanics is augmented by the NFT issuance let alone in the game, and also the having a meta game that utilizes Web3 as a like whale catering monetization tool. So, so earlier this year, I decided that like, I'll be back to MMOs and I'm going to build it again. But I have spent enough time building the game myself. So instead of building it myself, I will help the companies who is building MMOs and AI-powered games and help them to build the future of MMOs. And that's where the company like World Wide Web and Space Nation comes in, because they truly want to build a AI-powered games. And then I'm helping them to think about how to look at the problems, how to address those issues you can face building a MMOs. All right, so that's about why I'm here, start to think about the AI. And then, so to talk about the AI, like I guess I cannot skip the theoretical part, what Gen AI really is and so on and so forth, but I will assume that you guys already know all of this from news, research, and so on and so forth, so I go really fast. So Gen AI, you know what it is, right? And then the foundation models work like this, and then, all of this, I assume, right? Now, because of these Gen AI can do and cannot do, when you actually apply a new technology to a problem, if you want to solve a problem, you also have to worry about the risk and challenges associated with it. And then the really well-known one is that if you prompt Gen AI as of today to create a cocktail, it may give you a poison, and then you will be liable for that. And then there is some companies already experienced that, who fired every single their employees and replaced them in ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT provide a really weird answers to them, or the lawyer who provided a fake law case to the court. And then the other thing is that one thing you should really remember is that if you directly use current Gen AI, what's going to happen is that you will likely be infringing on other people's IP, and then whatever you create will not be protected as an API. So this is an important concept you have to think about when you build something with Gen AI. And then, as with any new technology, it's actually sometimes really hard to discern wheat from the chaffs, because a lot of people pretend that they know stuff and they actually don't. And then you also think about need to think about the Gen AI's real cost. When you think about what Gen AI can do, another aspect of it is that you have to think about what kind of cost it will incur to you. And you always need to think about those when you're actually building a game and release a game. And then this is something that a lot of people don't realize, even though you have launched a game, there is a scaling up and down, because any technology, especially Gen AI, will spend a lot of computing power, and then you will have a lot of problems once you start to have 1 million players in your game. And then, so that's why you have to think about the scaling needs to happen automatically. You always think about how to efficiently use Gen AI, and then make sure that your server doesn't run out. And also, you need to be able to flexibly move around different elements. So I will go through this real quick again. Another thing that you have to really think about is that there are a lot of different LLMs out there, and you can actually categorize them into two different sections. One is open source AI, and the other one is OpenAI. So what open source AIs will provide you is actually, it is open so that you can actually use it without paying a lot of the license fees. Downside of it is that they may not have all the features you have. You also need to make sure that the IP, you are not infringing IP. But the good news is that open source has always been upper hand in new technology. And then as of today, my recommendation is that the open source like AI is probably a better one to use rather than a proprietary ones. So to summarize all this, I went really fast, but again, Gen AI is like a gold mine. It is surrounded by minefield. So if you just go adopt it, you will trigger the mine, you're gonna die. But if you figure out how to use it cleverly, then you will reach the like gold mine, and then you will see the reach. So I made it Gen AI in 2023 as red because this is exact the same code I did in 2002 when I was trying to launch World of Warcraft in China. So I told people that China is like gold mine, blah, 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 the same thing. And yes, it turned out to be great, but then when I see Gen AI, I see the same thing as I saw 20 years ago about Web3 and also about India and MENA as well. All right, one more thing, what not to do. Don't do one-dimensional thinking. So there is a like, quote from one of the prominent game designer. He is bashing that Gen AI will not be able to help you create a good game because he doesn't know what Gen AI can really do. He thinks that ChatGPT is the use of Gen AI. So when you think about new technology, you should think about it in a way that what can you do you were not able to do before, not the way extending what you have done before. So that is the one-dimensional thinking you have to avoid. Second one is that you have to remember that Gen AI is not creative AI. It is not creating something new. It mix and match what they learned and give you mix and match. So Black Mirror, I was really laughed because Black Mirror is a great show. And then he asked ChatGPT to come up with an episode, and he hated it. Of course he hated it because like how AI can come up with a new episode for him. So this is also the wrong application of Gen AI. And then don't tie to the single AI company that exists as of today, because foundational LLMs like OpenAI as an example, or the like Google, right now it is changing so fast. If you tie to one AI as of today, you will regret it tomorrow because you don't know who's going to win in 2 years from now. And then you have to be agnostic to whatever LLMs you use in your product. So this shows that how fast LLMs came about over the last 6 months, right? And each LLM is like a lot more capable than previous ones. And then, so this is as of early June, but since I made this slide, there are already a few other stuff came out. So don't rely on a single LLM as of today. And also, yeah, definitely, regulation will be definitely coming. IP, legal issue, is something that you should be careful all the time. All right, now, so I went through all the basics, and I have 1 minute and 30 seconds. So what I'm doing right now, so I've been thinking about like how to approach Gen AI, what it can do, what it cannot do, and then what it cannot do as of today, but will be able to doing tomorrow. So that is something that I always do with new technology. I did it for Gen AI, and then came up with the like sort of the principle I need to use around AI-powered game development. Key thing here is that, again, don't build AI yourself. You are not AI developer, you are game developer. Also, don't do a direct application of ChatGPT, because that is everyone else will be doing, and then you won't be surviving in that tomorrow. 3, think about something defensible. You have to build something that no one else will be able to do. Also now, when you build something, you need to remember that you have to scale. The cost of running AI is expensive. And then finally, you still need to build your own IP because AI will not create IP for you. So after that, I kind of like did a like sort of the search of so what kind of application I can do in Gen AI. Yeah, obviously I can do the like easy localization, player communications. I can also use it as a content force multiplier where I create certain IP or content and multiply it. And then I made it yellow because this is someone will do. A lot of people will be doing it, so I'm not gonna do this because I can just use it when people develop pipeline for assets or not. But something really interesting to me was that building something that changes the game itself. So can I do the unexpected game story development? And then this is where something called hallucination really interests me. In normal Gen AI, hallucination is a problem because it tells you, AI will tell you a lie because it doesn't know what he's talking about. In game, nothing is real anyways, so hallucination can be not a bug, can be a feature. So that is where I kind of like thinking about how to leverage it to create a unexpected new gameplay, game storylines in the game. Second one is that I'm like creating a customized experience, and then creating a like NPCs that actually live and breathe. And then also, I already talked about the Web3 monetization. So I will give you some examples of how I'm approaching it, but for it to work, I should think about like how can I build that sort of a system, and then this is getting a little bit more technical, so I move forward. And then I came up with the like what kind of component do I need to build as an AI game engine, and it has 4 components, but the first 2 will be done by someone else. So I will be building a rule set and IP database, and this beautiful diagram shows how it looks like. And then, right. So there's only one game developer here, so like I will skip this. And then, so one thing you have to remember here is that when you build a AI-powered gameplay, there will be steps you have to go through. You have to do a proof of concept. You have to create a prototype, and you need to figure out how to scale it. And then you will need a lot of iteration, mainly because implementing one thing, like a feature itself, will not be too difficult, but eliminating all the edge case will be a problem. That is exactly why there are so many like self-driving cars out there, but they cannot be become a commercialized as of yet because they could not solve the edge cases. In game, we have less problem with that because something happens in game, some bugs happens, like who really cares? And then I want to make it as a feature as well. So this is one of the proof of concept that was built by, again, the World Wide Web people. They came up with as a proof of concept, a AI battler, kind of like Pokemon battle game, run by, complete by AI, and he built it in 3 hours, right? So this is what I mean. Coming up with a concept, I believe something is easy. Making it fun, and then like less error prone is difficult to do. So, and then this is the diagram of like how I've been like building the like how we can build a interactive living and breathing world. So essentially, each NPCs will have a personality trait as well as database of what he remembers as a part of what he have done in the past, what sort of interaction he did with player characters, as well as other NPCs. And then that also governed by like Lawmaster, which essentially governs the entire history of the world. And then also has a rule set inside the database so that it tells the NPC what he can do and cannot do in this world. Essentially, it is a sort of a god of the like game world. The key thing here is that it also maintains a history DB where it actually record and constantly update how things are happening in the world, meaning that the world itself will is not static, it is dynamic. It actually has its own real history. And then the world master is actually POIs around the world. Like there is a land here, there is a, let's say the monster here, and how they react, what will they do to the NPC and so on and so forth. And if you combine all this, and you can come up with a like actually living, breathing game world that actually live their own life. One thing that was really interesting is that once I did it, what I realized is that you can actually create a game world that doesn't require a human. So they'll be playing the game on their own and build the history on their own. So we are still early in this development, but I think I'm super excited about how we can build this further and what kind of other applications we can have. All right, and then as I talked about is that the game world itself is constantly in flux and developing. Traditional MMOs that I built in the past, Ultima Online, oh wow, one big beef I had was about that is that it is stuck in one time frame. Whatever you do doesn't impact the game world at all. Now, we can build a game system that can actually dynamically changing all the time, and then it also remembers you, and it also remembers what you did to them, so that it becomes always dynamic and interesting. So what I show you here is that just one of the use case I am thinking about and I'm trying to build with the developer I'm working with. I believe that there are numerously a lot of different innovation we can make around AI, and I love to work with people who are interested in building AI-powered games. This is my email. I could only have a small set of deck today, so let's work together.
Thank you very much. How many slides? How many slides was that? Like 81 or something.
I had a 100, and then I get it down to 60.
Yeah, it said 20 minutes, didn't it? Goodness me, it's very interesting. I think we'll have to talk afterwards. I love the ideas of building NPCs playing each other to build up the lore. That's sort of like a really cool thing you can imagine.